Good morning, Silver and Black Nation. Welcome to the Silver and Black Lair LA Kings edition. I'm your host, the Bat Fry, Kenny Fry. Thirsty Thursday is upon us, one step closer to the weekend. Thank goodness. What a week this has been. It's just been such a long ass week, and I am ready for it to be over with. I am ready for it to end. I'm ready for the weekend. I am beat. All right. So with that being said, hope everybody's doing well out there. I want to try something a little bit different here today. If you've ever seen the show before, usually what I do is I kick it off and I get right into the show. And at the very end of the show, I do sponsors. I'm going to try the sponsor read at the beginning this time to see how it flows and go for there. All right. All right. So today's show is brought to you by our good friend, Jason Fine, attorney, Big Al. You can reach Big Al at 1-800-HURT-123. That's 1-800-HURT-123. Jason Fine specializes in motor vehicle accidents, slip and falls, workman's comp, and personal injury claims. He has 3 office locations conveniently located throughout Pennsylvania and New Jersey. In the Garden State of New Jersey, his office is located in Cherry Hill on 3 Greensward Lane, and the phone number there is 856-209-5258. And in Pennsylvania, his offices are located in Pittsburgh on 500 Grant Street, Suite 2900. The phone number there is 412-365-8151. And in Philadelphia, his offices are located on 1628 JFK Boulevard, Suite 2120. The phone number there is 267-888-2980. That's Jason Fine, attorney Big Al. All right. So we'll see how that goes. So this is your first time checking out the show. I am your host, the Bat Fry, Kenny Fry, and I am from Pennsylvania. So you ask yourself, what kind of moron from Pennsylvania likes a team on the West Coast? You got the Flyers here, you got the Penguins, riddled with East Coast teams, the Devils. You always look at the Rangers, the Islanders, the Capitals are fairly close as well. A whole slew of teams right here in the area. How did it come to the LA Kings? Well, like a good bit of LA King fans, probably about my age, maybe LA King fans that aren't from LA or California or in that area, but across the country, they might be able to point to the same moment or around about same player that got them interested in the Kings and made them into a Kings fan, and that would be the great one, Wayne Gretzky. So Wayne Gretzky, my first player that I actually really, really liked in hockey. It's when I started following hockey. I think it was like 1990, 91, somewhere around there. A group of us where I lived, we had probably about, I'd say 10 boys, all about the same age, 10 kids. I played a lot of street hockey. We started playing street hockey, and then we started playing other kids, our age across town and different parts of the town and stuff. Where I grew up in Pottsville, Pennsylvania, and from that point on, a lot of us, most of us, just absolutely loved hockey. So for me, like I said, it was Wayne Gretzky. That made me a Kings fan. But then when I started watching the Kings and following the Kings, I decided to pick another player. I was a big fan of Kelly Rudy, who was the goalie in the early 90s there for the Kings. And I was a big fan of Rudy. I also played goalie when we played street hockey, so that makes sense. I was also a big Rob Blake fan. I like Rob Blake, Luke Robitaille, Marty McSorley, because he was the rough and tumble defenseman. Defenseman was the enforcer. I wasn't afraid to stick up for his teammates or fight and do whatever it took to win. And that was Marty McSorley in a nutshell. So I was a fan of him. The Kings had Grant Fuhrer there for a little bit. Who else? Yari Curry, Paul Coffey was there for a little bit as well. I don't know if I mentioned Rob Blake, of course, all-time great defenseman for the LA Kings, and now our general manager. And much maligned general manager. So that's how it started for me. That's how I became an LA Kings fan. It started with Wayne Gretzky, then it kind of evolved from there. I followed the Kings for many years. Unfortunately, kind of stopped paying attention to hockey. Pretty much lack of time and a lack of ways to watch it. During the one lockout, it seemed like it was much, much harder after the lockout ended. I'm not sure what the year was, but it was much harder to find hockey on TV. And with me being a West Coast hockey fan, liking the LA Kings, it was nearly impossible to find them on TV. So So there was that. So I kind of stopped following the Kings there for a period of time, and unfortunately, the time I stopped following the Kings was the time they went to Stanley Cups. So that's a bummer. I was happy for the Kings. I did watch the Stanley Cup Finals. I was happy. I was overjoyed, elated, but I didn't feel like I could celebrate it because I wasn't really following the team anymore. So then, fast forward a couple years later, I started doing the whole podcasting bit, and I'm like, well, I'd like to, kind of check hockey out again and see where the Kings are at. And so I think it was 2 years ago, I started following the Kings again. It was the second half of the season, and I just, as soon as I started watching it, it just again fell in love with the team, fell in love with hockey again, and so all last season I didn't miss many LA Kings games. With today's technology, it's a lot easier to find the games and whatnot. So and keep it up, podcasting. And so, the different podcasts I follow. I'm a big fan of Eddie from Locked On LA Kings. I love his podcast. I love how he does it. I love the way he formats it, the way he presents it, and just the way he talks. He's very good at it. It's something I strive to do. I strive to be something kind of like Eddie. It's never going to happen. I'm going to have my uhs and ands and my blank expressions and I forgots and an occasional curse in there. So I'm never going to be an Eddie, but that's somebody I kind of look up to in the whole podcasting game. I really dig the way he does his show. But anyway, all right. So fast forward from that, here we are today. So for those that are watching now or may watch later on, so that's how I became an LA Kings fan. So fast forward to today's show. What I'll be covering today, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Kings draft, who they picked, how it went down, the moves they made during the draft. They were pretty busy during the draft. And I'll give a brief little synopsis or scouting report for each of those players, and we'll go from there. And also talk a little bit about Arthur Kaliev and Eric Portillo, not being signed yet. So they have qualifying offers tendered to them. They have not signed those qualified offers yet. They're both restricted free agents. So if they were to get an offer from another team and sign with that team, the Kings would get compensated. So, and that's if I understand that correctly. I think that's how it goes. But there is a chance I could be wrong. All right. So this past, I think it was the draft was in June or July. I don't remember anymore. It's so long ago. I took a nice little hiatus here from hockey. Hockey kind of, after the free agency and stuff like that, it kind of goes into the doldrums. So after Stanley Cup free agency, then you got the draft, and it just kind of everything simmers down, and so that's I haven't been on much with the silver and black Lair LA Kings. So fast forwarding the draft, like I said, the Kings were very busy. They had 4 picks. They made 4 picks, I should say. They made 4 picks. They had a first round, a second round. They made a 6th round and a 7th round pick. And they also made a trade where they received a player in turn. So not really a pick, but you got him through the draft. So it's almost like an extra pick, an extra player. So with their first pick in the first round was a 26th overall pick. They select Liam Greentree. You know what? I'm going to stop there. So I'm going to go over the moves that they made first to get all these picks, because it doesn't make sense if I do this first and I do the moves. So the Kings, they made a trade. I think it was, I don't know if it was during the draft or it was right before the draft started. They traded their first round pick, which was the 21st overall pick, to Montreal for the Montreal Canadiens' 26th pick in the first round, the 57th pick in the second round, and the 198th pick, 7th round. So they made that trade with the Canadiens. They dropped back a little bit. Then they acquired Tanner Jeannot, a lefty shooting winger from the Lightning, for the 2025 second round pick and 2024's 4th round pick. They also acquired the Ducks' 6th round pick, 164th overall, and the Kings gave the Ducks their 7th round pick, that was number 214, and their 6th round pick, which was number 182. And so those are the moves that they made. All right, so now back to the picks. I got a itchy eye right there. Their first pick, which ended up being the 26th overall pick, they selected Liam Greentree, who's a forward. Their second pick in the second round, they selected Carter George, a goalie. It was the 57th overall pick. Lifetime King fan, so that's pretty cool for him and pretty cool for the fan base, I think. Then the 6th round, so they had a nice lull there. In the 6th round, they picked Jared Woolley. That was the 164th overall pick. He's a defenseman, a big defenseman. And then finally, their 7th round pick, they select James Reeder, a forward, and that was the 198th pick. So looking at Liam Greentree, he was highly touted. There were some mock drafts that had him go in the high teens, like 18, 19, and low 20s, I think 21 at the latest. The Kings were able to drop back a couple picks and still get him. So I think that's huge. And they also picked up a couple extra picks besides that. So I think that was a great trade for the Kings that worked out really well. I'm not sure who the Canadians picked. I'm sure it's somebody that they actually wanted. It wouldn't be just, you wouldn't just trade that pick to get somebody you didn't want, right? So, but the Kings got the man that they wanted, I believe. So he played for the Windsor Spitfires in the Ontario Hockey League. What a great team name. I love that. The Windsor Spitfires. Spitfires, a type of World War II plane, fighter jet. Pretty cool there. 6'2", 214 pounds. Scouts were saying that he plays, they like one of the pluses about him, he plays well in the middle of the ice. So you play in the middle of the ice, a lot of playmaking abilities there. You're not getting trapped on the outside against the walls. He sees the ice very well, very good field vision. He's able to see plays develop, good anticipation as well. He's an adept playmaker. Playmaker period is just, is good stuff. So he's, constantly putting his teammates in the right position to score or to at least get opportunities or chances on goal. So that's huge there. He's a physical player as well. At 6'2", that's a decent sized frame for an 18-year-old. He's gonna bulk up a little bit. He's 214 pounds, so he's gonna start putting on some muscle, I believe, as the Kings start getting him into the weight program. And I believe he'll probably end up going to Ontario. I don't know if he'll. I can't imagine him staying in the Ontario Hockey League, but I think he'll go to the Ontario Reign, the Kings. I guess minor league affiliate. I don't know if that's what you actually call it. It's like baseball. They call it the minor league affiliate. I don't know if they call that in hockey, if that's what they call it or not. But I'm pretty sure he'll be playing for the Ontario Reign, which if you didn't know, which I didn't know, the Ontario Reign, they're based out of Ontario, California. I didn't know that. I had no idea there was an Ontario, California. I was listening to the Ontario Reign last season in the playoffs. Playoffs? And you got to do that every time you say playoffs. You got to say the Marv Levy playoffs. Playoffs? Was it Marv Levy? No, was it? Is that who it was? No. I can't remember his name. I can picture him right now. But anyway, that's besides the point. You know who I'm talking about. If you're a football fan, you know exactly. If you're my age or older, or around my age and older, you know who I'm talking about. I don't think it's Marv Levy. I can't think of. I think Marv Levy was the Bills head coach, if I remember correctly, during the 90s. All those great Bills teams that didn't win the championship. So he's a physical player. He's a bigger size, bigger frame. But the one downfall for him is that he's not a strong skater, and that's the only downfall that the scouts have listed about him. A shortcoming is that he's not a strong skater. He's an average skater, and I do believe I don't know what I've never put on an ice skate in my life, and I have no want to put on an ice skate in my life. I've wore inline skates, I've wore regular roller skates, but I have no want to put on ice skates. And for one of the reasons is I'm a bigger fella, and you put on an ice skate, sometimes that leads to ice skating on a pond. And when you ice skate on a pond, you must make sure that it's frozen enough where your fat ass doesn't fall through. And I'm not a strong swimmer, so we got two knocks there. I'm a fat ass and not a strong swimmer, so I will not ice skate on a pond. In a rink, maybe I will, but I don't see. You never know. Who knows? I'm on this whole weight loss kick. Down 65 pounds so far since March. Who knows? Who knows what happens? Another 25, 30 pounds. Maybe I'll be out there doing triple pirouettes or, Lutzes or whatever the hell they're called and flipsy dipsies and doozy dazies and stuff. So I'm not a strong skater, but that is something he can improve upon. It's something he can work on over time. And another strong point for me is he was also the captain of his team. Very young, the captain. It was the worst team in the league, but he was one of the best players in the league. So take that for what you will. So that's Liam Greentree. Overall, from most of the experts and most of the people that have reviewed these drafts, they said that was a pretty good pick. So overall, it seems to be a pretty good pick for the Kings. And the one thing that's kind of unfortunate with the draft, like with football, when you draft in football, if you draft in a first round pick, there's a good chance that he's playing that season. So you kind of get an idea of what you're getting. Second round pick, kind of the same thing. Third round pick, fourth round pick, there's a chance. Your fifth round to seventh round picks, they're probably looking more at special teams or whatever. But when you come to like baseball or hockey, your first round pick, you pick them, everybody's excited about them, and then you forget about them for the next 4 years. It's like that's the bummer of it. You don't get to see what you got at the professional level, at the top professional level, the NHL, for a few years, unless there's something outrageous, like a Connor McDavid or Sidney Crosby or guys like that. If there's some sort of superstar now, or there's a big word I'm thinking of, but I can't get it out. So we're gonna leave that floating out there now. All right. So moving on from Liam Greentree to our second round pick, Carter George, 18 years old. He played in the Ontario Hockey League as well. Last 2 seasons, he played in the Ontario Hockey League last 2 seasons. 6 foot, 195 pounds. Not very big size for a goalie. Kind of smallish frame, but from what the scouts were saying, he plays much bigger than his frame. So that's good. He posted a .907 save percentage and a 3.3 goals against average. He had 4 shutouts, which led the league, and he had a record of 23, 21, and 6 for the Owen Sound Attack. I like the Spitfire name better, so that is what it is. The Owen Sound Attack. The thing with those stats, you see those stats for Carter George, and you're like, well, that's nothing really all that great. Is that second round worthy? But he was on one of the worst teams in the league as well. They did make the playoffs, but they didn't have a winning record. And a team allowed the most shots on goal. So he saw a lot of shots. He got a lot of work. And I think his biggest game of the season was a shutout where he had 50 plus saves or somewhere around there. I was reading. So that's pretty impressive. But he faced easily the most shots in the league. And the more shots you see, the more chances you're going to give up goals. That's just, that's how it is. At the U18 World Juniors, he was playing for Team Canada. He was undefeated. He had 6 wins, a 2.33 goals against, a .915 save percentage. So much better in the World Juniors. I think he had a shutout in I think it was the gold medal game. I could be wrong about that. But I'm pretty sure that's what I saw. He was the Ontario Hockey League's first all-rookie team and the Ontario Hockey's third all-star team. So the rookies, he made first team all-rookie team, and all the players in the Ontario Hockey League, he made the third team there. So that's pretty impressive there. He was awarded the Bobby Smith Trophy for the OHL Scholastic Player of the Year, whatever the hell that means. I hear Scholastic, I think of school. So I don't know exactly what the Ontario Hockey League is now. When I was reading this, I'm like, I don't know what the hell that means. So, but this is the kid that I said is a lifelong Kings fan. He was a Kings fan since he was a little kid. So he was over the moon when the Kings drafted him. Super excited, and just excited to get the old silver and black on there. Get the new Chevy logo on there. The Kings kind of revamped from the Gretzky days, which I will be getting a new overlay here pretty soon with the new logo on it. My boy Paul will hook me up with that. He does a great job with these overlays and the opening videos and the closing video and stuff like that. So yeah, I'll be getting a new logo up there. The new old logo. They did alter it a little bit. You can see the differences when you put the two side by side. But if you just glance at it quickly, it looks exactly the same as when Gretzky was there. But like again, there are differences. It does look a little bit sharper than what it did back then. And I'm a fan of the Chevy logo. Actually, I ain't gonna lie to you. I did like the I don't know what you call the logo the Kings have had the last couple seasons, like it's like a shield looking thing. I kind of like that as well. So I was fine with what they had. I do like the Chevy logo. And with me being a Kings fan since the 90s, it's always been silver and black for me. And learning about the Kings' history, knowing that their early colors or original colors were yellow or gold. I think it was yellow and blue. I don't know how I feel about that. I think I'd have to see it more often. Just see it at occasional. But I'm not. I like the silver and black. I'm a Raiders fan as well, so I'm a big fan of the silver and black. I know a lot of people, a lot of hardcore Kings fans or longtime Kings fans were hoping the Kings would bring back the old uniforms like that, the blue and yellow, blue and gold, whatever it is, or the purple and gold like the Lakers or something. I don't want that at all. Blue and yellow, I'd be all right if they brought blue and yellow. I'd be fine with that, or blue and gold, whatever it was. It was like a really deep blue, almost purplish, but not quite. So, but I like the silver and black, and I like the Chevy logo, and I like it when they're with the chrome domes. I'm a big fan of that as well. So, I'm happy with it. All right, so moving on from Carter George, I'm excited to get Carter George. The Kings need some goalie depth here throughout their system, and he could be somebody that could, in a few years, make his way up to the NHL. And if Eric Portillo's still with us, I'll talk about him in a little bit. He could push Eric Portillo and as the number one goalie, and we'll have to wait and see though. Like I said, that's the bummer sometimes with these drafts. You got to wait a while to see these guys, and then you kind of just forget about them. So then our 6th round pick was Jared Woolley, another 18-year-old, 6'4", 214-pound defenseman, big hitting defenseman, huge frame there, 6'4". He's not shy about contact. That's one thing. He's a big hitter. He's also very light on his feet. He does have some offensive capability, which he plans on refining this season when he returns to his OHL team. I got the cat here in my lap now. He's purring away. He wants to be petted. I don't know if you can hear the purring through the microphone or not, but he's locked into the podcasting center here with me. So he does have some offensive capabilities. He didn't really show it too much last season. I don't know. I can't remember exactly the number was points that he finished with, but at one point during the season, he was going a point a game. So it is there, and he is capable of it. And he said he plans on refining that this season, and really showing what he can do offensively. So I'm excited to see that and see what he can do. With him being a big hitter, a physical defenseman, that's something the Kings need in their system moving forward. So that's a nice pick for the Kings as well. And finally, their 7th round pick was James Reeder, another 18-year-old. He spent the past 2 seasons with the Dubuque, I think it is how you say it, the Dubuque Fighting Saints out of the United States Hockey League. The 23-24 season, he was an alternate captain, which I don't know about you guys, but again, when I started watching hockey, I seen the little A on the chest. I knew what the C was. C was captain. The A, I always called the assistant captain. But I just recently I started watching hockey again 2 years ago, and they call it the alternate captain. I don't know if that's something new or if it's always been called alternate captain. That's get out of here, cat. He's chewing on my wires. He's gonna fry himself. But anyway, I never heard it called alternate captain until recently, and that drives me bananas. Like, well, has it always been alternate captain? Have I been saying assistant captain wrong? Have I been wrong? I've heard it called associate captain. I've never heard anybody recently call it assistant captain. I'm like, man, I've been so wrong. I think maybe it was assistant captain back in the day, but they fancied it up with alternate captain or associate captain. I don't know. But I don't know. Let me know what your thoughts on the A on the jersey, what you thought it meant, or if you already knew. What maybe I'm the idiot, the moron. I don't know. But anyway, he was an alternate captain for the 23-24 season. He also had career highs in goals with 20, assists 40 points. So his career high 60 points as well. A career, I don't know if it's a high or low in penalty minutes, 30. And he was at a plus 11 this past season, so good stuff there. 5'10". He's on the smaller side, 175 pounds, and he'll be going to the University of Denver this season. So he'll be in college for a couple of years, and then eventually head on over to Ontario after his stay in college and all the experiences he'll have there and whatnot. So overall, I think that the Kings draft for what it was. They made some moves. They made some nice moves in the draft. Picking up a couple extra picks, dropping back a couple spots and still getting the guy that they said they wanted in Liam Greentree. They picking up a very good goalie in Carter George. A lot of high praise for Carter George. And then here at the end, a couple potential depth pieces for down the road in Jared Woolley and James Reeder. We'll have to see. You never know. Matt Roy recently departed LA King. He was a 7th round pick, and now he ended up getting paid now as one of the top defensemen in the league by the Washington Capitals. So the Kings lost him this past offseason. So now the cat's scratching his back of his head up here by my mic. Get out of here, cat! Sniffing my microphone. This is gonna be all messed up. Anyway, that's it. This is my daughter's cat. Anyway, it's orange cat. Orange cats are nuts. They're insane. So overall, I think it's a very good draft. I'm excited for it. I can't wait to see these guys progress over the next couple seasons at the lower levels or whatever the hell you want to call it. Again, I call it the minor league, but I don't know if it's really technically a minor league. They get optioned down, they get brought up, they purchase the contract. I'm like, none of that stuff makes any sense to me. I have a lot to learn yet with that stuff, and hockey does a lot of things different than the other major American sports. All right. So that's what I have on a draft. Again, good draft for what it was. Made some moves. Picking up Tanner Janot. We'll see how he can what he can offer the Kings this upcoming season, if he'll make the roster or if he'll be with Ontario or what's going to happen there. And all the extra picks that they got from that Canadian trade. All right, so moving on from that, again, not a whole lot else going on. Still kind of waiting for the news about Arthur Kaliev and Eric Portillo. Eric Portillo was the Ontario Reigns. I think he was their number 1 goalie, number 1, number 2 goalie, but he ended up having a terrific season last year, and had a pretty good run in the playoffs as well, in the Calder Cup playoffs. And he was a restricted free agent this year. At the end of the season, the Kings offered him a qualifying offer, and just waiting for him to sign it. So I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know. I have no idea what's going on with Eric Portillo. I would have figured he would have signed it and found his way back in Ontario. Maybe he's not happy. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how these things go. And just waiting for that signing. I think he will re-sign with the Kings, and I think he'll be in Ontario. And I do think even if the Kings do play well this season, I do think we see Eric Portillo up with the Kings sometime throughout the season for, it might be a small stretch, a couple games, maybe there's a goalie injury, or maybe it could be a long stretch, because injuries happen to goalies, it happens. And, or maybe the goalies don't play well, we'll have to wait and see. But Arthur Kaliev is the interesting one. Kaliev asked for a trade, and the Kings said they'll do their best, but they're not going to guarantee it. If you don't know, Kaliev is a talented scorer, but apparently he found himself on the wrong side of the coaching staff last season, and they never recovered. Just never recovered. A lot of times he was a healthy scratch, and I don't know if he wasn't either doing what they asked, or was it selfish play? Because we're more of a defensive-minded team. He's an offensive-minded player. Was it something with that? I'm not really sure. That you can speculate all you want. I haven't personally heard anything definitive saying what the issue was during the season. You've heard a couple, sound bites, you know, kind of saying he has a lot to learn yet. What that means, I'm not really sure. Does that mean like he has a lot to learn, like he's behind a little bit on the scheme, or he has a lot to learn where he's playing selfishly? I don't know. I have no idea. But I do know that most of the experts do think that he is a talented scorer, and the Kings could use some scoring. I do think the Kings have some players on this team that could be breakout stars offensively. And with us being a defensive-minded team, it kind of hampers that a little bit. I'm talking more like an Adrian Kempe or Kevin Fiala, those kinds of guys. And, of course, Anze Kopitar, year in, year out, produces goals and assists and opportunity and stuff like that. We'll see what Quentin Byfield does if he takes the next step offensively. But he's another one that could be a difference maker on the scoreboard if they kind of let loose a little bit. So we'll see. The Kings, again, offered Arthur Kaliev a qualifying offer, which was a surprise to a lot of people. But is this one of those things where they're looking for a trade for him, and then it's going to be all right, sign with us, we'll trade you, and that team gets that contract, like an agreement, one of those deals, or they trade him, and I don't know, and the Kings just get the or he just signs with another team, and the Kings get the restricted free agent to get the compensation. Jesus Christmas, I couldn't think of it. Compensation as a restricted free agent. That's tough. You start when you're doing this by yourself, and you forget a word, and it's right there, and you're trying to think it, and well, I'm not saying nothing now, and I'm live, and there's not a whole lot of people watching, but there's people watching, and you're just sitting there quiet because you're trying to think of the stupid ass word like compensation. So, but I do feel like it's probably going to be if they do sign him, which I do. All right, let me start over. I do think they sign him. I'm like kind of like 70% thinking it's going to be a sign and trade where they sign him and they trade him away, either for another player or picks or what have you, or it's a let's sign him back and give him another season and see what we get out of him. It could be one of those deals as well. Me personally, that's what I'm hoping for. I want to see Arthur Kaliev get a second shot at this. I think he'd be a very good player, and like I said, he's offensively he's very talented, and it would benefit him greatly if he just kind of learns a little bit of defense. He doesn't have to learn all the defense, just a little bit. If that was the issue, if that's why he wasn't being played, I don't know. I have no idea. So we're still waiting for those shoes to drop with Kaliev and Portillo. Yeah. So that's it. So that's all I have for today's show. I have nothing else. Like I said, I just want to cover the draft for the Kings. I didn't get a chance to cover that yet, who they picked. A little bit of a scouting report on those guys, what the Kings did on draft day, move-wise, and where the Kings were at currently with moves. And we're not that far away, like a month or so away from some like training camp type stuff, I guess. So hockey's right around the corner, and then I'll be on weekly once the games start. Talking the Weekend Kings, where I look back and kind of talk about what games they played, who they played against, how those games went, and my thoughts and opinions on how they're currently looking. So, all right. So you're watching this. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're watching this on X or Facebook, do me a favor. Head on over to OOT Box Sports on YouTube, or you can always punch in Out of the Box Sports. It'll come up. It's a black circle with red lettering, Out of the Box Sports. That's a circle. Give us a subscribe. I appreciate it very much. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Head on over to X. That's the X handle for the X handle. The handle on X is at OOT Box Sports as well. And you'll give us a follow there. You could follow me personally at SB_Lair. underscore OOTBE. That is SB underscore Lair underscore OOTBE. That's me on X. And I'm also on YouTube with the Batcave. I'm not sure what the Batcave's handle is, but don't worry about that. You follow Out of the Box Sports and all will be good. All right. So thank you everybody for checking the show out. Be sure to tune in tonight for the NFL Pick'em show. I'm not sure exactly what time that is on. We'll take a look at the schedule here. NFL Pick'em on Thursdays is at 6 p.m. So go ahead and check that out. Check me out next. I will be live Saturday, 10 p.m. The Atomic Drop podcast, talking WWE wrestling. Myself, Cowboy Dave, Adam the Answer Glenn, and whoever else wants to jump on the show. It's an open show, and if you're a wrestling fan, you want to hop on for a show, let me know. We'll see what we can do. I don't know. We can put up. We only can put up so many boxes. We look like the freaking Brady Bunch. So next week I will not have a Silver and Black Lair LA Kings. I'll take a week off, and the following week I will be back talking Kings, unless there is some news or some news or notes or whatever trades or signings or anything like that. Then I'll come on for a quick show and talk that. But next time you see the Silver and Black Lair LA Kings edition, I will be in 2 weeks. I will be live Monday morning, 10 a.m. The Silver and Black Lair Las Vegas Raiders edition. I'll be talking Raiders football heading into the season after they play their final preseason game Friday night against the 49ers. So I'll be live 10 a.m. Monday with that. Then next Wednesday morning, 10 a.m., I will be live with the Batcave talking New York Mets baseball. And hopefully they're in the top 3 for the wild card, but we'll see what happens. Got a long way to go. I got a big series coming up here against the Padres and against the Diamondbacks. Got to take care of business. All right. Thank you, everybody, for checking the show out. I appreciate it very much. Next time you're watching, throw your comments, your thoughts out there. I read them. I read them all. Give you a shout out. And yeah. So for now, in 2 weeks, thank you. And go, Kings, go.